Here's Johnny. Thank you. Well, hello there, social media family. Being of some such persons among yourselves, being as you are from my followers, as in a.k.a. subscribers, to visitors even so, who are supposedly in their own right affiliated or associated with and are representing my own particular personal YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room comment section. Well, at least technically the latter, if not as much as officially as the former. Meaning that because before any visitors were to possibly be upgraded to a better status, then more of the likes of them, as some already have, who have paid a visit to my page, my domain that I myself am the sole owner thereof, or to my YouTube social media channel and a chat room and comment section likewise, will first of all have to at least just as much, if not more so, press that being of the subscribe button to my YouTube social media channel, as well as any of them could possibly romance the thought of contemplating pressing the like button to any of my YouTube social media broadcasts or video content material posts. Otherwise, if you're just going to press the like button, then I would much rather prefer that you don't press any button at all. Any button or buttons at all if you're not going to press likewise the subscribe button. Or for that matter, I would prefer that you would think to press the subscribe button first and foremost before the like button. But then if you are still a visitor to my social media channel, and at the same time, after you have paid a visit to it about a couple or few times, and then from there, you want to attempt to come off like a chatty catty, being of which is a rights and privileges only reserved for subscribers to my social media channel, my YouTube social media channel, although I have other accounts with other social media networks and websites. Then getting back to some such other, regardless of whether or not I myself am speaking correct, proper English grammar and American dialect, and let's backtrack here to try to finish up as the complete a form of line thought. But then if you're going to come off like a chatty catty, being of which is a status of rights and privileges only reserved for subscribers to my YouTube social media channel, and after you could have paid more than a couple few visits to it, the same question in the aforementioned, than to have possibly finally subscribe to my social media channel after the first couple few visits, then you never know. I say you'll never know when at some or such given moment in time you could start to really well, I want to say piss me off, but I'll put it like this here. You will start to annoy my person. I myself, and from there I would have to, exercise my rights and privileges for my own personal particular page, or for my domain that in which I am the sole owner thereof, or for my YouTube social media channel in a chat room comment section, that I myself, if anybody should have control over. From there, I will silence your chat, and then if you persist in becoming or being annoying and not respect it being the same as said in question aforementioned, and likewise do a great disrespect to other persons who have literally and are actually romanced the thought of contemplating becoming subscribers finally, compared to you yourself, who would have just continued to remain a visitor to it, doing some sort of thing from there. I will just block you from my social media channel as well. I will block you in addition from my chat room conversation. I mean, once you're blocked from the channel, then you don't have access to the chat room conversation either. You know, as the chat room conversation is connected to the channel. So let me make that perfectly clear and move right along. But then, yes, how are you all, my social media family, and how are your family members and friends for your many different households? Hopefully all is well that ends well for you and yours, and for me and mine. Yes, for members or followers or subscribers of my channel, members of my social media family, for subscribers and visitors. 774, text the word rally, and moving right along. And whereas the present social media broadcast is supposed to be about my present housing dilemma, so I say now that I got the preliminaries out the way. And whereas I myself, I'm not going to lie, tell the truth and shame the devil. It is really starting to touch a nerve, you know, to cause me, you know, not only mental anguish, but physical trauma as a believer in God. So how much more it would do a number on me if I was still an unsaved non-believer or unbeliever. And being that because it's been quite a while since the last time I was homeless, and although presently I am kind of like somewhere I don't want to be, but at least I'm not on the streets, as I pay annual rent and utilities, etc., for what would be considered as a hole in the wall for a really bad neighborhood, and with the neighbors from down hell who come with the territory, but at least not out of doors. But anyway, though, I have become subjected to experiencing the housing dilemma. Not that I mean to sound seem like I'm contradicting myself. So let me begin to explain. For you see, after I had informed management of the building, then real estate administrative representative personnel for these edifices or premises of properties, real estate, or whatever I said in the state for record, that I myself not any longer want to renew an apartment rental lease agreement with them in view of the circumstances, or in due regard, or in reference to certain neighbors, being of whom will be commonly called or commonly known as proverbial neighbors from down hell characters, being in my present public nuisances or problem neighbors or criminal riffraff. From there, it is like the management of the building being the real estate administrative representative personnel had gotten some such resentment and then have retaliated shortly after by scheduling for me the original housing inspection, on short notice, whereas I only had a week to prepare to do household cleaning chores, etc. And whereas that original housing inspection had failed, and then whereas it was rescheduled for another housing inspection, being my unit's atmosphere place resident of apartment, only for that one to fail, although I had more time to prepare, and more so, mainly or mostly on the part of the management having failed both housing inspections, the original one and the rescheduled housing reinspection appointment, and that really freaked me out. And whereas the only reason why I had failed was I shouldn't have failed at all is being that because, for one thing, like say for example, the housing inspector in question, for you see, I am a participant recipient of a rental assistance program, participant recipient of a rental assistance program of this one housing agency or organization that provides low-income residents within city limits for the city of metropolitan Chicago with all of its surrounding suburbs. It assists low-income residents for Chicago, Illinois, USA to be able to make rental payments. It provides rental assistance for any low-income residents who are participant recipients of its own housing rental assistance program to be able to make rental payments to a landlord. And anyway, whereas the only reason why I had failed on my part is, for one thing, like say for example, and disregard, ignore the interruption, or whatever I haven't said and stated for the record. Like I said, I have neighbors from damn hell, and of some such the worst or worstest ones yet. And this being one of the worst or worstest of the Centenary neighborhood communities, just as long as they remember to stay outside my apartment building, then we won't have a problem. And I do believe in exercising my rights and privileges to exercise my trigger-happy emergency 911 telephone call dialing finger to alert the local police authorities, whereas they would from there, get that information that there's trouble in paradise. But getting back to some of such other before I was so rudely interrupted. Anyway, though, the only reason, why I had failed on my part is, for one thing, like say, for example, and so I say now to complete the formula, the housing inspector in question had confused some or such certain item products of my personal effects, belongings, or possessions with excessive debris, as it was so stated in a letter of correspondence, or had confused it with, in other words, garbage or trash. Whereas all that person of a housing inspector had to do was to look in any one of those 10-gallon plastic bags with what cover food I did have, my personal effects belonging to possession. And one would have found out, I still have, I stored away. One would have found out from there, if one had looked into some of such, that there was nothing of the kind so assumed by him, but there was clothing, and then construction worker equipment, tools, and electronic devices, stuff like that, etc. No junk, no garbage, no trash, none whatsoever, not any. But then, and whereas the second example I explained to you all now was at some such given moment time for one of those housing inspections, whereas from maintenance personnel for the building to a housing inspector has showed up outside my apartment door. And whereas neither the maintenance personnel had bothered to properly introduce, neither nor properly identify themselves, and neither nor did the housing inspector for that matter. And none of them had bothered, both of the parties did not bother to present onto me any proper credentials to identify as to who exactly they themselves claim to be. And therefore, I would not open up my apartment door to them for obvious reasons or purposes, for my person having said so and stated for the record, being a wish to prove to have become or be a no-brainer. I say a no-brainer as in self-explanatory, because I'm not about to let a complete stranger come into my unit's atmosphere, my place of residence, and I don't know who you are, and you have not properly introduced, neither nor properly identify yourself, and have not shown any credentials to verify who exactly you are supposed to be, or as you claim to be of some such, Because as far as I know, you could be the cousin of John Wayne Gacy or Jeffrey Dahmer's or Biggie Small, Notorious B.I.G. or Tupac Shakur, etc. And so from there, I was once again erroneously cited, falsely accused or charged with being negligent and or non-compliant. So when I did not let them in, I just called the management, and nobody answered my telephone call except for one person who was saying, stating for the record that one would forward my message to the next available administrator, representative personnel for the building real estate premises and properties for the downstairs first floor business office, being in the same building where I myself pay annual monthly rent and utilities, etc. for units atmosphere of a place resident apartment, with the help of this housing agency organization that helps me make rental payments, as I am a participant recipient of this rental assistance program. So after having called them and nobody that's supposed to be, there for the downstairs business office in the building. So after my call wasn't answered, except for some flunky that said one would forward my message to one of them. From there, I called the police. To one of them being one's superior supervisor compared to one being a subordinate. So from there, I called the police, and lo and behold, as the police showed up at my apartment door outside of some such, then only then did the management, real estate administrative representative personnel, and then from there, they themselves are claiming, erroneously citing me, falsely accusing or charging me of being negligent and non-compliant. And that is the results of developments my present housing dilemma, whereas I'm being informed that until I could get this issue resolved, regardless of whether or not I had turned in some new moving papers to a new landlord elsewhere for one of the preferred neighborhoods, for one of the better ones, or much more familiar territory compared to where I'm presently at for this poverty-stricken and crime-ridden neighborhood that is that much more to be considered as of the likes of this kind. So everything otherwise has been put on hold until I get this house dilemma of an issue resolved, for that being of a rescheduled housing inspection that has been scheduled for this unit. I didn't find out, until I had gone about other means to do so, because I only have so much storage on my laptop computer, whereas I have yet to renew the storage plan. Otherwise, I will not be able to receive any messages nor submit any messages on my part to another party. I will not be able to receive any messages coming from another party. I will not be able to submit any messages to another party. That's what I meant to say. Prince of Peace, continue revelating my Mac Prince of Darkness, to confuse my speech, regardless of whether or not my person I'm speaking correct, proper standard English grammar, and American dialect. And so, therefore, they could at least, inform me much better via a text message for my cell phone, as I would know I would receive it then and there. Like they were intentionally wanting for me not to acquire the knowledge thereof that there has been scheduled a reinspection for my unit so that I could fail it, like they deliberately on purpose, not mention it otherwise via other means, out of resentment, retaliating for how I had informed them that I not any longer want to renew my apartment rental lease agreement with them, that to be filled out and signed a paper documents, being that because the case and situation of extenuating circumstances being up under conditions daily and nightly of certain neighbors being the likes who would be much more commonly called and are likewise much more commonly known as proverbial neighbors from down hell, being my present public nuisance of problem neighbors of criminal riffraff. So that's where things stand at the moment. So far, my housing dilemma, And come to think of it, when I had asked, did anything get set up for a rescheduled housing inspection appointment? One of the landlords or one of the administrative real estate representative personnel of the management that I had gone about transacting the necessary business at hand, or through another person to pay my rent. One of them had answered my question by saying, as far as they see, nothing has been done, nothing has been scheduled. Told me a complete bold-faced lie, like as if one wants me to fail this upcoming re-inspection scheduled appointment. Whereas, like I said, I only let me reiterate or repeat myself. I only found out via other means. Like I said before, so I say again, whereas my storage plan on my laptop computer is about to run out, and I would be better off checking my cell phone, being of which they should have sent me a text message, then what I had gathered information, or what little quickly and suspiciously drafted message otherwise via other means of a social media search engine that was submitted to my person as it's sent to me. So that's where things stand at the moment. And on this last note of interest, I'd like to say, in conclusion, if you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing what He Himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary, so that you don't have to end up in the lake of fire down hell, but so that you could become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, hopefully share the gospel message of salvation with another others. You all take care and well. Peace.